All right, guys, let's talk about Proposition 1 in layman's terms here. I think all of us are out to want to do something about the homeless crisis and stop homelessness. But this $6.34 billion bond raising proposition, let's talk about this and talk about exactly how much money that is. So, a lot of people go, well, we need to help the homeless. We got to get this crisis over with. And, this is terrible and everything else. And this narrowly passed, well, for some reason, because I think people really just don't know how to do math. So what we're going to do is we're going to go through the math on this real quick and talk about how much that is per household so that you guys can get an idea what you'll be paying for it. So check this out. So you've got $6.38 billion that needs to be raised in bonds. And what does that mean? Bonds have an interest rate. And let's just say it's 10%. Usually it could be more, could be less. And they're over a 10-year period. So let's just use simple math that we can all understand. So that's 10% over 10 years. That's $638 million in interest every year for 10 years. Okay. So now that bond amount of $6.38 billion just became 12 double whatever the amount is. And based on simple interest. And if they're calculated on what's it called? Not simple interest, but compound interest. It's going to be quite a bit more than that. Probably almost 1.5 times that much over a 10-year period. So you're talking about... So since we have about, I guess, roughly 30 million people, there might be more than that in California, including women and children and people who don't work and homeless people. Everybody, including them, needs to pay $433 to solve this problem. The problem is let's say you got a household of 6. You got 3-4 kids and husband and wife. That's $433 times all your whole family. So 6 times 4 is $2,400. So if you're a family of 6, do you have an extra $2,400? And this is above and beyond the regular tax you got to pay per year. So where's that money going to come from? It all sounds good until, you got to write the check, right? Everything sounds great. You think, oh, well, the government's going to pay this, but the people are the ones who pay for it, you guys. This is the thing people don't understand is they go, well, the government's paying for it. They'll just, they'll cover it for us, It's not the government that pays for it. It's the people that live in the state. So check this out. You say tax the rich or whatever. That's a really big number. If let's say you just said, okay, all we're going to do is tax people that make more than $200,000 a year. Now that number, so I don't know how many people in the state of California make more than $200,000 a year, but you can imagine that if you said, okay, some people are not going to be able to pay the $433, right? You know that. There's just going to be some people that are indigent, poor, or whatever. They're not going to be able to pay it. But, this is, but so some people aren't going to be able to do it, but some are, so let's say, could do more, but it's still going to average out to a huge number for every family to have to pay. And then you're giving the money to the government. How good is the track record of the government of doing what they say they're going to do with the money? This is one of the problems. I really think that if people realize this stuff and they just gave to charities instead and let the charities do it, they'd probably get a lot more bang for their buck. Because what happens when you give money to the government to do it? They go out and get it for bid. The job goes up for bid by government contractors. and all of them got their hands in politicians. I mean, that's just usually the case. This is my opinion. You can take it or leave it, but a lot of them have their hands. I know people who do government contracts, and I've talked to them, and it just kind of creeps me out, because they do things to pad the pockets of different politicians and their foundations, and their foundations may contribute money to their campaigns. It's all just a big engine of different types of corruption, in my opinion, what it is, how it gets to them. But it goes through all these things, and then the guy says, well, hey, if you give to this, this foundation, sounds like great, you're giving to a foundation, but his wife works for it, and for instance, and she gets a paycheck, $500,000 a year from, being the CEO of that foundation. I'm just giving you examples. Okay. No specifics here. But when stuff goes through these type of this government stuff, these contractors go up for bid. A job goes up for bid for building, a homeless whatever community, and they give you the lowest bid they can to try and get the job. And then usually there's a politician involved somewhere, and he kind of goes, hey, I need my, I need you to contribute to this thing. And he's like, well, dude, I can't even do the job for that price. And he's like, no, it's all right. You can just do your change orders. If you guys didn't know, there's something called change orders. So now that 8.6 billion becomes 12 or 15 billion because they go way over budget. This is just the way it works, guys. And this is the thing is, most people don't understand this stuff, and they don't know how to do math. So they think, this is all conspiracy theory that I'm talking about. It's really not. It's actually a lot of it, how it ends up happening. If you look at bridge budgets for different types of bridges built in California or in other states too, you look at the bid amount, and then you look at it after it was completed, and sometimes it's 10, 15 times the amount of the original bid. So it might go up for $2 million, and then by the time it's done, it's $30 million. There's a lot of that stuff that happens because they go lowest bid, and then the contractors go in and they, do their change orders, and you go, well, it's the contractor's fault. No, it's actually the system and how it works. And the contractor just does what he has to do to get the job, and he, pads that pocket of the politician to make them happy, and then his change orders happen to just get approved. So, this is the type of thing that happens. I'm just giving examples, nothing specific. These are things that I've actually seen and heard from people directly, and not specific to this project, but I'll just give you an idea. So anyway, this is the type of thing that happens. So when government does programs to help people, we end up paying 10 times the amount that it would normally cost, versus if we just gave the money to a foundation or gave it to a nonprofit, gave it to churches, and went through the normal channels that we used to use all the time, then stuff would cost a lot less, and there's a lot less room for corruption. So anyway, this thing went through. Everybody's going to, I don't know if it went through or not. It's still the votes are being counted on it. It's like, it's a really big deal, and a lot of people don't understand it. We all have to pay for that somehow. So anyway, I'll talk to you guys in the next video. Please like, share, and subscribe. Let me see your comments on it.